Number 1. The garage door story below reminded me of what happened to me back around 1992. When I was also about 14 to 15, we moved to a new town hundreds of miles from our old one near Los Angeles. The new town was older, much smaller community, and it was that old-fashioned style of people leaving their garage doors open at night, because no one worried about security. However, my family coming from a town where you knew better, we never left ours open. One weekend, my parents went out of town leaving me home alone because they went back to our old city to visit my aunt and uncle. I didn't care, I wanted to be home alone, and do what I wanted. I had a couple friends over, we ordered pizza, and just watched rented movies. Around 10 to 11 everyone went home, and I was home alone in this big old 5-bedroom house. My bedroom and our family room was upstairs, so when my friends left I just stayed upstairs with the TV on, and started to fall asleep on the sofa. At around 1 a.m. I suddenly woke up. I don't remember if I heard something or felt something, but I woke up almost in a panic. I heard noises from downstairs. I realized I was in the dark with only the light from the TV on. Our family room light had turned off for some reason. I didn't remember turning it off. I jumped up and started turning lights on from upstairs, and I heard footsteps in the dark downstairs, as you can hear walking across the tile flooring. My dad kept a shotgun in a case upstairs in the spare bedroom, so I knew how to use guns my entire life, and he trusted me with it. I grabbed the shotgun, and it was a single shot, so I loaded 1 shell and put 3 more shells in my pocket. I walked very slowly downstairs, and the stairway had little light as the light switch downstairs lit the bottom half. I make my way to that light switch, then the front room lamp, then the kitchen light, then I go down the hallway to the bottom 4 bedrooms, turning on every light I see. I don't hear anything or see anything out of the ordinary. I check every room, especially my parents' bedroom and bathroom. I figured that is where a burglar would go for cash or jewelry. I don't see any windows or doors open. I started to think maybe I am making myself more hyped up over nothing. So I started making my way back to the stairway and the front room. That front room had a living room that my mom always called the sitting room, as we were not allowed to hang out there, but it's where guests would sit. You know, a fancy room. Anyway, that room had the front door, the stairs leading upstairs, and off to the side the door to the garage. When I checked that our front door was locked, I then turned to the garage door and it was unlocked. Not that we locked the door leading from our house to the garage locked all the time, but something inside me dreaded to open it, but I figured I had to check the garage too. When I opened the door from the house to the garage, I nearly crapped my pants. The big garage door was open. This was impossible. My parents had left earlier that day, and I know for a fact the garage door was closed after they left, because when I was cleaning up my room for when my friends came over, I took all my dirty laundry to the garage. I would have noticed it was closed at that point. Also, when I said goodbye to my friends, I walked out with them, and for sure I would have saw my garage door opened at that point. Anyway, I turned on the garage lights, and the garage was empty, just the big door rolled up, so I hit the button to close it and locked the door from the garage to the house. I went back upstairs and pretty much stayed awake all night with the loaded shotgun next to me. The next day, I put the shotgun away unloaded. I go outside to see if someone maybe forced the door open. No tool marks or anything. I looked through the garage and noticed that someone had opened my dad's toolbox. I couldn't tell if anything was missing, but it did in fact look like someone had went through things in there. I decided against telling my parents what happened when they came home, but only if my dad noticed something missing from the garage. Mostly because I didn't want him to blame me for leaving the door open when I clearly had not. Also, I didn't want them not to leave me home alone again. I do wonder if what shook me awake was the noise of the garage door opening, but was too sleepy to realize it. Had I did catch someone inside, I would have shot them, no questions about it. Number 2. A lot can happen on the job. It is Friday morning and I am sitting here waiting for my truck to be loaded for work. It got me thinking about my other job and the strange things that I had been witness to while working it. I have shared a few of the bigger encounters already, but I will share a few more of the not big but still frightening things I have witnessed. To start, I am a 43-year-old female who now drives truck for a living, but back in the day when I was pretty and young I decided to work as an exotic dancer. The job paid well, and in Western Canada where I am from, it meant I got to travel from club to club every week and meet lots of new and interesting people. It also meant I spent a lot of time in different hotels. Most strip clubs in Western Canada are in a bar attached to a hotel. Most of these hotels are older, and as you can imagine there are restless spirits in many. This first story happened in Fort St. John at a club called the Condil. I was still a rookie dancer, and it was my first time there. I didn't own a car yet, so a new friend I had made in my last job had offered to give me a ride there. Once we arrived, and I was lugging my 2 heavy suitcases up the stairs with his help, we both noticed and remarked on a subtle but tangible feeling of darkness and oppression in the hall. My new friend Scott and I were both sensitive to spirits, and we could feel that this place had been in abundance. He helped me to my room and bid me goodbye. As I normally did every week, I began to unpack, putting my clothes in the dresser, my costumes hung in the closet, and finally my makeup and body care bottles on the dresser before turning on the TV and sitting back on the bed. That is when it happened. I heard a loud thud, and all of a sudden it was as if a giant hand swept across the entire dresser, flinging everything on it across the room violently. I won't lie, I had my 2 suitcases open and was repacking everything within minutes. There was no way I was staying there alone. Then all of a sudden the door to the room opened and in walked another girl with a suitcase. I had noticed the other bed but had not thought that it could possibly mean I was going to have a roomie. We stared at each other for a second, me in the middle of packing and her in the doorway. "What are you doing?" she asked me. "I am getting the heck out of here," I replied. I gave her a quick rundown of what had happened, all the while continuing to pack. Her face grew concerned when she saw I meant to leave. "You'll get in trouble," she said. "Ask me if I care," I answered back. "What about me? I don't want to stay here alone." Finally, I paused. I didn't know this girl, but I hesitated to leave her here alone. What she had said was also true. Blowing off a booking would get me in trouble with the agency. "All right, I will stay if you promise to spend nights here with me and not take off." She gave her word, which of course by which she had broke, and I found myself alone in that hotel on more than one night. Every time I would leave the room, the lights in the long hallway, which were always on, would go off just behind me. There were knocks and strange sounds of whispers, but luckily I didn't see any specters. That happened at this next hotel. A few years into my dancing career, and I was working in the town of Rocky Mountain House. I had been to this club and hotel a few times before, but because my dad lived about an hour's drive, I had never stayed at the hotel. This was another one of those situations where 2 girls would share an accommodation, in this case a partial suite. It was the first show of the week. I was upstairs in the room and sitting on the floor with a large mirror propped up in front of me. The other girl was on first, and as I was getting ready in front of the mirror, I thought to myself, "Where is she? She is going to be late." No sooner did I have the thought when I saw her walk behind and past me into her bedroom. She didn't acknowledge me or turn the light on and just disappeared into the dark room. I didn't think too much about it though, just continued to get ready, but her show was in 5 minutes. Maybe she forgot? Had she laid down for a second only to fall asleep? I decided to go and wake her. I went to the door and peered in. Only the room was empty. She wasn't there. But I had seen her, or at least what I thought was her, the solid shape of a girl with long dark hair going into the room. Now in truth, this hotel always gave me the heebie-jeebies, but now I was seeing ghosts in there. It explains a lot actually, why I was always cold when I was in that room no matter how many blankets or layers I had on. When the other dancer walked through the door, I was pretty shaken and ashen-faced. I told her what had happened, about seeing a spirit I thought was her. She pretty much just brushed it off and we finished the night's shows. This week for some reason I can't remember why I was not able to stay at my dad's. I asked the other girl if she was planning to stay at the hotel as well, and she said she had a friend who lived in town that she would be staying with. That was a hellish week. Whatever lived there would not leave me alone, pulling my hair, creating cold spaces right in front of me, and whispering my name and other things beside me. I have tried very hard my whole life not to hear or interact with spirits. That is of course until this next story that I will save till another post because this one is getting long. All I can say is old hotels and bars often equal restless spirits.